at the audio reference booth in our 2025 final edition show here in Munich in our concert room or concert hall, how we call it here. We're doing a little music presentation here today on the Wilson Audio system, the Wilson Audio Wamm speakers, then Dagostino amps, the Nordos cables, the bass continue racks, the VPI turntable, and of course our source today is the dCS Vivaldi set. And luckily we do have Andrew from dCS here, and he can do us this little, explanation about the dCS and the system.
Thanks very much. So it's a great pleasure to be here. Thanks to our friends and partners at Audio Reference. Fantastic to be able to provide the source for this fantastic system. So just a little bit of history about dCS. We were founded about 40 years ago actually as a consulting company. And the first consulting project that we worked on was for the Ministry of Defence in the UK to provide an analog to digital converter for the radar in a Sea Harrier fighter jet. It turns out that if you can have higher resolution analog to digital conversion in a radar, it basically means that you can see the enemy before they can see you. And that's quite a compelling use case in defense, especially if you're a pilot. So we developed this novel architecture for analog to digital conversion. Several of the senior members of the company at that time were big into music, big music lovers. They thought, we have an analog to digital converter. Well, that will come in handy in the recording process. So from that we moved into professional audio, started developing analog to digital converters for the recording industry and the broadcasting industry. From there we moved into digital to analog converters. A digital to analog converter is basically an analog to digital converter in a feedback loop. So we developed the world's first high resolution analog to digital converter, first 2496 analog to digital converter, subsequently the first 2496 digital to analog converter, and subsequently the first 24192 digital to analog converter. And that got us into the audio market. Once you're in digital to analog conversion, well, that's really part of the replay chain. So we're sourcing the studios and the broadcasters with analog to digital. Then most of the market for digital to analog is obviously in the consumer space. And so from the professional market, that allowed us to pivot into the consumer space, and that's where we've been ever since. And now we have a full line of digital source components with DACs that contain streamers and digital preamps with external master clocks, etc. That's our current portfolio. A little bit about how we do things. So we developed our own DAC architecture, which is actually software based. So it runs in a little processor chip called an FPGA, Field Programmable Gate Array. But basically we control the entire signal path. We don't use any off-the-shelf DAC chips or any other off-the-shelf components. We program everything in the conversion process with software, which also has many benefits, such as we can upgrade units in the field by providing new firmware releases. The Vivaldi that you see in front of you has had one major and I think 4 minor firmware upgrades along the way. The philosophy of the company, our tagline you've seen, only the music. And what we try and do is develop source components that will give you as much of what the mastering engineer heard as possible. We want to give you the most faithful reproduction of what the mastering engineer heard. And to do that, we've gained a lot of experience in how measured performance correlates with subjective performance. So our engineers sit with scopes and measuring equipment. They have learned over the years which parameters, which measurable parameters really closely associated with musical performance, and they work to successively improve those measured parameters, and then we verify that with subjective listening tests. But it's very much a measurement-driven approach, and with every successive generation of product we improve on parameters like distortion, like noise, like crosstalk. And we find that as we slowly remove all of these artifacts that are not part of the signal, which is actually the part that you want, it actually brings users closer to the music. You actually feel more emotionally connected with the music when we remove measurable artifacts such as harmonic distortion, such as noise. So that's really the philosophy of the company, and you know, it's all about bringing you the music, bringing you closer to the music, hence the tagline, only the music. At which point it's probably best that we listen to some music. I'll be here afterwards, happy to answer any questions that you have, but I very much hope you enjoy what you're going to hear. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will start with a nice Firebird, Feuervogel Stravinsky. Is a very good example of what we're talking about here. For every high-end hi-fi demo, you need to have a female voice. In this case, I would love to play Lady Blackbird, a new recording of Trevor Horn produced mega hit in the 80s. It's Slave to the Rhythm. Originally was performed by Grace Jones.
Who knows? king and his men stole the queen from her bed and bound her in her bones. The seas be ours, and by the powers where we will we roam. Yo ho, all hands, hoist the colors high. Heave ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die. Now some have died and some are alive, and others sail on the sea. With the keys to the cage and the devil to pay, we lay to fiddler's grave. Yo ho, all hands, hoist the colors high. Heave ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die.
This was the end of this session.